Well, today we got 3 jokers goofing around in the woods, which is perfect because we got 3 Scandi ground joker knives that we're going to be playing with today. We have 2 in the traditional design, the Ember and the Nordico, and 1 in the Nessmuck design. This is the Nessmuck S. And so we got 3 things going on today. Not only are we going to do a breakdown and review of these 3 blades, we're also going to talk about Scandi ground knives in general. Where are they a big positive, and maybe where do they have some drawbacks in their capability? But also at the end of the video, we're gonna be giving one of these bad boys away. So guys, let's go ahead and jump into it because we're gonna have a blast, not only doing a bunch of woodwork, but taking a look at 3 gorgeous knives. All right, let's jump right into these beauties, take a look, see what they got. I mean, they're gorgeous and they perform on top of that, which is awesome. And let's really talk about the Scandi grind itself first. Let's discuss that before we get into the details of these 3 blades, and then at the end here, do a giveaway. So the main thing, guys, is the edge geometry of a Scandi grind has flats on either side, like what we see here, and then they come down to an abrupt, often 0-degree angle. So there's no secondary bevel, no secondary edge that you're worrying about, thinking about. It comes down to a precise point. Think of an upside down pyramid, boink, right to the tip. There's no secondary edge going to the material. So that is what is hitting the material. So what the benefit of that is extremely precise cutting, particularly in woodscraft environments where you're doing spears, notches, feather sticks. Guys, I'm not a great feather stick maker, you know, fuzz stick maker. That's something I'm hoping to get better at this year in 2021. You guys have even mentioned that, like, dude, you need to work on that. And I totally agree. But Scandi grinds, because of how precise that edge is, allows even someone who isn't that good at it to really get it done very easily. And that's what's really a benefit to them, is that you don't need a lot of skill to get a good fuzz stick going to help you start a fire. Because of that angle geometry, you're able to get a deep bite into material, remove knots out of a piece of wood, get in and be able to do a very good clean cut for, say, like a square notch, something like that, making a spear, making a point for something, carving out a bowl or a spoon. A Scandi grind is what I prefer if I'm making any type of utensil. That is really where they shine, and they're just beautiful for that. They're very easy to put an edge back on. Some of them will come with a micro edge, so there is a secondary bevel there. You can either remove that very easily and get it to 0, or if you're having a hard time because it is 0 and you find it dulling out pretty quick, then it is easy to put a very minor edge on it just to give you a little bit more robustness, because that is the one drawback to a Scandi grind, is that the edge geometry, because it's so fine, means that it cuts and slices through everything basically that you come in contact with so easily, but they tend to dull out pretty quick, particularly under harder abuse, batoning, side splitting, chopping, or just harder utility tasks. You're going to find that you're going to have to be tuning it up quicker because of how fine the edge is. So that can be a drawback, and you'll find damage on it quicker depending on how hard you are with your tool. And that's where the benefit of, say, like a saber grind that I have here on the SRK from Cold Steel, you know, the flat isn't quite as low, but it has this long drop into a secondary bevel, and it just makes it for a more robust and longer edge retention under the harder tasks that you may put it through. Lots of splitting, lots of chopping, you know, just hard abuse. You have that secondary bevel to kind of take some of the brunt of that, and that's a benefit. And that's why a lot of combat utility knives or heavy-duty survival knives are designed in a saber grind or a flat grind. And then the other one area where a Scandi just does not perform at all, like 0, is in food prep. I just don't like using Scandi grinds with food prep. That's where a full flat grind comes into play. A full flat can do a lot of utility tasks as well, woodscraft, all those things. The Scandi, I would argue, is as good, if not better, in almost every task except for except for kitchen work, food prep, where the full flat just works better. Look at all your kitchenware; they're either gonna have hollow or full flat grinds, and that's really where it excels. So if you find yourself doing a lot of food prep with your belt knife, a Scandi is gonna kind of get to be a headache. It just doesn't cut very well. It makes these weird angles and you're constantly fighting with the food. It's just not fun, whereas the full flat or a hollow just is going to go right through that food and be a lot easier to use. And so my conclusion over years of use is really, if I'm going to be doing mostly woodscraft, camping, hiking, backpacking, and I'm not going to be doing a lot of utility tasks. I'm not going to be doing a lot of food prep. Then a Scandi is like hands down my favorite to use. Now, if I'm looking for more of a general utility where I need to do just a lot of stuff, I need it to make some fuzz sticks, but I'm not going to be spending an hour doing woodscraft. I need it to be able to do food prep. I need it to possibly split and, you know, chop and do a lot more things. Then I'm going to look at a different grind, particularly like a high saber or a full flat, or even a convex. Every once in a while, you'll find a convex ground blade, which is more like the hull of a ship. Instead of it being an abrupt upside down triangle, it's more of like a U, and that really seems to work extremely well as well when I find a good convex. Even Joker has one on the Nomad. It is phenomenal and actually can outperform a Scandi grind because it can do almost everything a Scandi grind can do with woodscraft, but then it has the robustness of like a high saber grind for batoning and chopping. So that's a really cool thing to see in a convex when you can find those, and if you know how to sharpen them, they're a little trickier to sharpen. Scandis are basically, in my opinion, the easiest to sharpen. So guys, that's my experience. And guys, if you're looking for a dedicated woodscraft knife, in my opinion, the Scandi grind cannot be underestimated and is just such a high performer, and that's why a lot of those woodscraft knives come in that grind. So one thing that we haven't touched on yet is handle ergonomics. When we're talking particularly about a Scandi ground woodscraft, bushcraft style blade, that's where you're going to be using it. You're going to probably be holding it possibly for hours at a time, and you want it to be comfortable. You don't want it to have a lot of abrupt angles and lots of jimping and, you know, things to worry about. You want it to be nice and contoured and feel very good and full in the hand, and these bad boys get it done. With all of them being right around 0.85 to 89 on the thickness, right in the center, with not much tapering on either side near the necks, which is great. And they're all going to be right around 4.5 to like 4.75 inches overall handle length. You just see here with my large size hands how much real estate I got on the Nessmucks, and this is the smallest one at 4.5 inches long, and just how full rounded that is. Nice little liners in there, very contoured. All will have lanyard holes as well that are tubed out, which is sweet. Very comfortable, feels great. We've got wood, we've got micarta. There's lots of options that are out there that will affect price, and we're going to talk pricing here in just a moment. They're pinned in, done really nicely, no issues there, and I'm just so pleased, very happy with the feel, the ergonomics. All of them are going to have a slight guard. The two lower ones with the more natural, you know, classic style are actually going to have a pretty good guard, and then the Nessmucks has this nice cut in there as well, so you're not going to accidentally, you know, cut yourself or slide right up like a Puko design, which are sweet, but I feel a little more comfortable using something that has a little bit of a guard on average when I'm, you know, doing lots of woodscraft. And they feel great in reverse grips, hammer grips. I mean, any way that you hold these knives, they're going to feel so good and very comfortable for very long periods of time and look beautiful doing it. Now, as we've been talking, you know, just in general about the performance of a Scandi ground knife, well, let's go ahead and dive into exactly what these three jokers have going on in steel and some of those other attributes as well. Now, all of them are going to be right around 4 inches overall blade length. They vary slightly, but right in that ballpark of about 4 inches, which is perfect for like a woodscraft compact belt knife. Start getting bigger, they can do bigger tasks, but they kind of become unwieldy, smaller than that, and they are limited in some of their capabilities. So I think that 4-inch is right there in that sweet spot. Now, the stock on all three of these is going to be 0.145. So right over an 1/8 of an inch thick, not quite 5/32 of an inch thick, which is perfect. You're getting just a little bit more robustness out of these designs than you will a lot of other bushcraft knives. They're usually around an 1/8 of an inch, but they're not overbuilt to the point where they're like a 1/4 inch or, you know, even 3/16 of an inch thick, which is kind of overkill for this compact and small a woodscraft focused knife. Now, they're all going to have Sandvik 14C 28N steel, which is a great stainless steel, very rust resistant. I've really put these guys through the ringer, and they have come out kicking on the other side, which is a very good thing, holding their edge better than a lot of other Scandi ground knives, even though, like what we've been talking about, a Scandi edge just is going to dull faster because of the things we've been talking about. But this type of steel, they've done a really good heat treat on. I believe it's a Rockwell of between 58 and 60, I believe. I'll annotate that in if I'm incorrect, but I believe it's that, which is really good for this type of steel, made in Spain. It's very good for that type of environment that you may be wanting to put it through. There are some high carbon steel versions available as well. I believe it's using K720, which I've never used before. Maybe some of you guys can put comments below on what your experience is with that. I hope at some point to get my hands on a version like that, just to see what the edge retention and rusting, you know, is. But there is high carbon if that's something that you are interested in. And these three will have razor sharp 90-degree spines that not only launch sparks with the Ember and with the Nordico, both having fire steels that come on the sheaths, which is a super nice bonus. They're great fire steels. They launch sparks, and the 90-degree spine is great for scraping those fire steels, but also just scraping wood in general. If that's something that you need and are looking for, which I think a lot of people do in their Woodscraft knives. These things are flamethrowers and are easily able to start fires with these setups, which is pretty sweet. And as you've been seeing throughout the video for Scandi Grind, these are performing so well. And so I'm very happy with the grinding, the edge geometry, the little bit more robustness than what you see in a lot of other knives out there for those of you looking for that, but I'm not seeing it really affect any of the performance, you know, cutting down on its capability for cutting. And all of those attributes really work well together and give you something that's pretty stout, but also extremely nimble and functional for those Woodscraft tasks. Now, the really exciting thing is that these are not going to break the bank. I mean, they look, feel, and perform like $200, you know, Scandis that are out there on the market. But these will go anywhere between $75 and $105 depending on handle scale, steel, and sheath options that you decide to go with. So you can really slim it down if you just want like a basic micarta and you don't want a fire steel. You can get them between 75 and 80 bucks. If you want, you know, like a really kind of exotic looking wood or material like what we have on the Nessmuck, and you want a fire steel to match, then you're going to be pushing $100 to $105 depending on the options that are available. Now, they're all available over on Amazon, so we're going to have a bunch of links for you guys below that you can click on, go check out. They are also available through Blue Ridge Knives as well, so you can check those out as a distributor. But the first one that I picked up was through Amazon, and that's what got me started and hooked on these Joker knives. And I do appreciate Joker being willing to send these over to me so that I can not only do this type of video with you, but also give one of these bad boys away. And just so that we have some perspective here, I have with me the Mora Garberg. Super good knife, love it. Not ever gonna, you know, not dig it. Comes with a polymer sheath or leather. I have had a version with the leather, was not super impressed with it. I prefer the polymer. The leather on these is much better, and just the designing of it. This is a high carbon steel version, and they do also have the Sandvik 14C28N, so the exact same steel. I would argue similar, if not exactly the same edge retention capability that are on these Jokers, and these are about $80. So depending on how slim down you want to go with these Jokers, you can basically get the exact same, you know, cost for something that has definitely a full tang, exposed tang. This one has a full tang, but it's, you know, encompassed by the polymer. And then those leather sheaths, fire steels, lots of options out there. And you're paying the same price or slightly more, and you're getting definitely more of like a modern, you know, modern materials, man-made synthetics on the Mora, and you can get a lot of natural, you know, micarta and wood and leather going on with a fire steel with these Jokers for about the same price, and I would argue exact same performance. So value is absolutely there, in my opinion, on these Joker blades. All right, guys, we're gonna hit sheaths, and then we're gonna jump into the giveaway and how you can get entered in to win. Now, these all are gonna come with real nice leather dangle option sheaths. The build quality is really well done, double stitching throughout. They're all gonna come with a good drainage hole, really good seaming, no problems whatsoever. They even have two little eyelets that you can do other types of lashing and, you know, wrap paracord around, whatever you want to do. Now, the Nessmuck does not have a fire steel loop. I do believe that there are some options out there, and there's so many options with handle scales, sheath, all that. It is going to have this dangler with buttons that are nice and strong, good D-ring right there, and then a nice pass-through right there as well. And they're all going to have that. Now, these buttons are really strong and well made. Aldi's Spain, I think, is what it says here on there. So even the buttons are made in Spain, which is great. Because it is a D-ring and there is a seam here that if you really took like pliers and pried it apart, so you could run it on your belt without the dangler. You can do that with all of them. So that is a capability there. If you like a higher ride and you don't want to deal with the dangler, there is that option as well. Now the Nordico and the Ember will come with a fire steel loop and matching fire steel to your handle scales if you decide to go that option. You can save a little bit of money and not do that, but these fire steels throw so well. They're very well built, and the 90-degree spines that all these knives have launch sparks really nicely. So it's a really good setup if you like having a fire steel on your blade. All right, so now we're jumping into the giveaway. I'm gonna be giving away the Nessmuck. This is what we're gonna be giving away. I just think it's so unique. I think a lot of people will not have a design quite like this in the collection. I think it's extremely functional and just a really cool setup, and those handle scales particularly just so sweet. So we are gonna be giving this away. I will ship it anywhere worldwide as long as your country allows you to receive knives. I'm not gonna lie on my customs forms or something like that. So just keep that in consideration. If I can't ship it to you, I'm not going to. So as long as your country allows that, I will ship it worldwide. And all you have to do to get entered in to win is tell me, in options like these, do you prefer to have a fire steel loop on the sheath of your knife or not? That's all you got to do is throw it down there. Do you like fire steels on your bushcraft knives, or do you prefer to carry those like in a pouch, in a bag, separated, and you feel like it's a little too bulky? Just like to hear from you guys. Throw that comment below. It's going to be a 12-hour giveaway from the time this video goes live. It's being annotated in right now, and then I'll pick someone at random from the comments below. Please, one comment per person, and then you'll have 24 hours to respond to me. If you do not respond to me, I will pick another winner, and down it goes. So this guy will be going to some lucky random winner, so good luck, guys. Well, guys, there you have it. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's been a blast, not only working with these 3 knives and just showing you what they can do, but also having fun just talking about Scandi ground knives in general and what their capabilities are, and maybe what are some of their limitations, and helping you make a wise choice on what's the best tool for the scenario you're going to be using your knife most likely in. So I invite you to check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. We're throwing up content like this all the time. Check us out on social media. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.